Hello everyone, today we have an old reliable deck, and it's not really that old, it's more so like it was a couple of seasons ago and it cropped up in popularity. It was incredibly prevalent and everywhere for like 2 weeks, and then it got nerfed. New cards came out that this deck doesn't necessarily go well into or against, and it just kind of started falling off in general because it lost that luster, it lost that surprise factor. And with how the meta is shifting now, there are a couple of things that I think this deck does well into. And so this deck is the old Stature Hawk deck with the modification that it has Luke Cage. Luke Cage is for all of those High Evolutionaries. He is everywhere. He is more inevitable than Thanos. He is absolutely all over the place, and he's really, really strong. He can be beaten, but it's just so consistent how much he can do that it's really hard to do so consistently. And so this deck, the Luke Cage, helps us on that matchup quite a bit. And in general, what this deck does well is it offers some disruption for the opponent. It offers the early disruption of the Korg and the Rock Slide. If you can get those on the board early, that is so much potential value, not necessarily directly on the board, but you could stop them from drawing into their Evolved Hulk, their Spider-Man, their Professor X, or you could stop a Galactus deck from drawing into Galactus. You could stop the Mr. Negative from drawing into, I don't know, Mr. Negative or an inverted Iron Man. And just those disruption tools alone could win you a lot of games. And it does help buff your Hawk in the process, which is a huge, huge benefit as well. We have the counter tools in our Shang-Chi and Enchantress. If the opponent gets greedy or if they have to curve their stuff out early, we have those tools to be able to utilize and lean in on, to be able to swing those lanes back in our favor. We have the movement enabling engines for our Miles Morales of our Jeff and our Polaris. Sometimes you're just going to play Miles Morales on 3 just without any movement components. Just it's 5 points. Just get it on the board. It gives you better priority. We have the Stature, which is a great tandem duo with the Black Bolt. Sometimes Black Bolt alone is going to just win you the game. If they do a wave, sometimes you may discard one of their most important key resources. Definitely could have happened in this video somewhere, but Black Bolt provides a lot of residual value as well. And then it does enable our Stature to be incredibly high value. And then just overall, the package works very well because it does disruption, it does counter, and then it does good, consistent, raw power just overall throughout the entire game. And so it is a force to be reckoned with. You're not going to win all of your games, but you can be competitive in just about all of them. Over my sample size, even after the nerfs, I was able to maintain a little bit over a 60% win rate. So I believe I was hovering between 63 and 65, but we did face a lot of High Evolutionary, we faced a lot of discard, a lot of just variety of decks, and this felt good into each and every one of them still. And so we're going to cut the deck explanation there. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. Next up, we have J. The first location is the Avengers compound. Asgard does come up as a location, so I think we're going to do Zabu into a Rock Slide. We're going to really try to compete for the Asgard location. It gives us a much better chance of seeing or drawing into our Hawk at some point. They're running a discard deck, so they have the Calling Wing that discards their Wolverine. We have to wonder if they already have their Apocalypse in hand or not. Hopefully not, and hopefully this constant and early disruption can make sure that they don't. So they storm the Death's Domain location, which is unfortunate for us. We don't have a way to play wide except for like a Jeff, which we just so happen to draw into. I guess I'm gonna do a Luke Cage and a Jeff here. Help make sure that we draw into the extra resources from Asgard. We have a Shang-Chi that we can use to counter a big play. Now, if they have a Dracula, there's nothing we can do. And so it's a good thing that we just avoid that location. Now, that does give them the option to let their Dracula just absorb a Chavez instead. But it gives us a little bit more agency on how we navigate this. So we do have our Shang-Chi now. We have our Hawk. We have Black Bolt as well. We have a 1 out of 2 chance of drawing into Stature next turn. Let's move Jeff to the left. We're going to play a... never mind. I almost messed up. I was going to play Black Bolt, but that's what they want. They're a discard deck. They want discards. So I assume like a MODOK or something here. No, the Nebula and the Swordmaster. Okay, it discards their MODOK. Interesting. Okay. So now what do they have? Do they have... I mean, I know that their last card is a Chavez. But they can't... maybe they had a Rock as well? Maybe we stopped them from drawing into their Apocalypse. I don't know. We were able to hold down the win. It's super uneventful, but that's kind of what this deck does, is it's just consistent. It's consistently doing things and good things every single turn, whether that be disruption, power, countering, and it's kind of that all-inclusive package. And so we will take the 1 cube. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Joe is Cool. The first location is Luke's Bar. We don't have any of our early cards. Oh my goodness. We have 4 cards that we'd be able to play by turn 2. And we dodge every single one of them. This is actually the second game in a row that has happened. We skipped showcasing the last game because it was just so prevalent. I'm going to go ahead and use our Polaris. We'll pull the Morbius out of Death's Domain so that if they don't have another way to fight for it, then it's unfortunate for them. We will have a Jeff at some point, so we might play for Death's Domain. We might play for Luke's Bar. We don't know exactly which one we want to go for, but we have the option of doing one or the other. The Calling Wing does discard a card. You're going to be able to Luke's Bar, Calling Wing every single turn of the game, which is really unfortunate, but at least Morbius is safe and sound in Atlantis. We don't have to play Black Bolt to enable Stature now, which is great for us. I almost want to spend and waste a turn doing Rock Slide into Luke's Bar. That's going to just give them so much junk. And if they can't fight for any location but this one, Dracula's big. The Dracula's very, very big. You know they have Calling Wing. They probably have MODOK. I'm going to do both of these. We don't have our Jeff. Next turn, we could do something like Luke Cage plus a Rock Slide, maybe? Or maybe we do Zabu this turn. No, that's lower power overall. We're going to do these two. We could always do like a Luke Cage into a Rock Slide over here. We could just do the Rock Slide naturally here. Maybe we do a Shang-Chi if one of these is above that 9 power range. It comes down to this is basically a Galactus game unless they have a way to fight for one of these other locations. So Swordmaster comes in. This could be a Wolverine. No, it's a Swarm. Interesting. Okay. Not sure what to think of that. We're going to go ahead and... They could have Storm though, right? They could always Storm one of the locations, but I doubt they top deck that. We're going to do the Rock Slide and hope for the best. I don't know that that's enough, but I do know that they haven't really discarded any good enablers. So a MODOK in something maybe does it. If they have some way to reload their hand. They did play their Swarm to destroy it so that they don't have to worry about that with the MODOK this turn. So I would assume Apocalypse. Ooh, no. Into the Lady Sif. We do win. What a weird game. What a weird way to win 4 cubes. And we won 4 cubes, remind you, when they had the Morbius that they thought was going to be a sure lock win in Death's Domain before we pulled it out. So the Polaris is the real superstar of this game, and then the rest just kind of unfolded in such a strange way. We will take the 4 cubes. Go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up, we have IZ. The first location is Westview. We have Jeff, Polaris, Enchantress, Miles Morales. So we will be able to enable the Miles Morales either early or on that last turn if we want to. I guess let's go ahead and play Jeff. Strange Academy is going to enable Miles Morales for us, so we don't even have to use a Telltale move like Polaris or moving our Jeff. Cloning Vats is kind of interesting. I think we're going to do Polaris to pull the Space Stone over into the Cloning Vats. If they don't have a way to destroy it, then we can slowly and consistently just start blocking that Cloning Vat location. Strange Academy. They do play Lockjaw into the Strange Academy. Oh my gosh. And then we pulled their Space Stone out of the Space Throne. But it turns out maybe we shouldn't have. I don't know. I'm going to do Rock Slide. We can do another Rock Slide next turn, maybe. We could do the Polaris, but I am concerned that they have a way to destroy their stones. You know what? So be it. We're going to do it anyways. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have a way to destroy it. Maybe they don't have a Killmonger slotted somewhere in their deck. Or if they do, they're going to have to use a turn or some of their energy to play it. Maybe within that realm, we can benefit. And so the Polaris locks in the Space Throne for now. We can also move Jeff over there if we need just that little bit of extra reach. We can move Jeff into that location because nothing stops Jeff from being played anywhere. They flip into their America Chavez. Let's do Black Bolt. After this turn, it will move over into the Space Throne. On the last turn, we can do Hawk, Stature, Miles, plus move a Jeff if we need to. So we look pretty solid here. I think we're in a pretty good spot. They lose their Scorpion. Not a big impact. Spider-Woman comes down. They get a second copy, which could be kind of detrimental. Just a lot of value that they'll have. Wait, it moved our Jeff over into Space Throne for us? Wild. Okay. I thought we would have... I didn't think it would move it over there. That it would have to be, like, manually done. All right, so now we have a kind of tough decision to make. They have 7 cards in their deck, so Hawk is awful here. Wait. Where did the Soulstone go? They just played Soulstone into mid, right? Where's that? Where is that at? All right. Anyways, we have a tough decision to make. Luke Cage plus Hawk. Final answer. They have another Spider-Woman they could play. The Soulstone that I think is in play here. I think. Actually, maybe the Soulstone's not on the board. I don't know. We're going to go ahead and play the Hawk into the right lane. We're going to do Luke Cage in mid, and I think that should be enough to allow us to win. The Hulk smashes in mid, and that is not going to be enough, my friend. I'm surprised they stuck that one out. Having the Space Throne fully locked out early. The Spider-Woman can be impactful, but it's, I don't know, it just never feels like it just doesn't feel like it always gives that bang for the buck that you need. But in a High Evolutionary deck, I can see the value in discounting the Abomination by playing Spider-Woman to kind of make sure that there are those afflicted cards on the board. But unfortunately, Luke Cage is the master of High Evolutionary. We will go ahead and take the 2 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Domino. The first location is Strange Academy. So that's going to be our enabler for Miles Morales. We could enable him early, but we don't necessarily need to. We get our Zabu, so we're going to go ahead and play that into the big house. That will discount our rock slide that we're going to top deck in this next turn. And if not, it's okay. All right, and so they play a Nebula. We do come down with our Zabu. We don't have the Killmonger, so we can't destroy either of these, but we can play a card there pretty much every single turn. Now, what we could do is we could lump those two together. We could pull the Nebula out of the big house location with our Polaris. We could clump the two. I kind of like that idea. I like it better than clumping the Sunspot into the big house with the Nebula because that's just giving them too much value, too much reach. The Wave comes down. Is this a Sandman deck? The Wave comes down. This could very well be a Sandman deck, which I don't appreciate. The Nebula, the Sunspot, those are both what I included in my ramp deck, which is a solid deck, mind you. Ooh, the Arrow. Okay, the Arrow is interesting here. I was thinking they were going to play their Sandman. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play Stature to stop the Nebula from growing. They do have a Devil Dino, so we're going to end up doing our Enchantress or Shang-Chi there. Either one is going to allow us to counter that card. We have the enablement of Miles Morales. So the Shang-Chi takes care of it entirely. But then how do we win from there? This is 5, so it brings us to 9, 10, 11, 12. If they do a Magneto, we wouldn't win. If they do a Doctor Doom, we wouldn't win. This way, though, if they do a Magneto, it will pull our Polaris over, so that's going to be 13. We could win here. That's what we're going to stick to. This hedges our bets. So the Doctor Doom comes down in the right lane. We have the Shang-Chi to take out their Devil Dino. That should swing that one back in our favor. We are able to hold down the left lane. We played our odds. We played the outs. We wanted to make sure that we had a protection against those two very common cards in that Electro ramp style. Now, if I was less familiar with that archetype, we very well could have lost that game. I don't know that we deserved those 2 cubes, but we were able to hold them down. We will take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Shunta. The first location is the cloning vats, so I don't know. Depending on what they're playing, Maybe we get to play multiple cards there, so if they're running a discard, which we've seen a lot of today, maybe we could really elevate that Cloning Vats lane. Maybe we can do a couple of Korgs, a couple of Rock Slides to really send a lot of junk into their deck. Now, they had their Zabu on 2, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and play the players. We'll pull their Zabu over into Cloning Vats. The goal is to... Ooh, so they're running a High Evolutionary deck. That's scary. Now, we have the Loot Cage, but if they have an Enchantress, a Rogue, or something to steal that back away, that could get pretty scary pretty quickly. I'm going to add a little bit of mystery, a little bit of sizzle to our spice. We're going to play Mysterio. They're not going to know where the real Mysterio is. It's going to be in the hub. We're just going to put it in the hub, but they don't know that. We are going to get a useless clone back in our hand. We're not going to utilize it, but just that air of mystery makes a lockdown a little bit harder to navigate. It makes it a little bit harder to calculate exactly how much power you need and where. They do play... Okay, I was like, who runs Colossus? They run Colossus from the hub. Go ahead and do a Black Bolt. That allows us to do a Hawk, a Korg, and a Stature on the last turn, unless it looks like we don't have initiative and we can angle for like an Enchantress or a Shang-Chi if we draw into it. Those would all be possible decent playlines. Luke Cage. I was wondering if they were going to Enchantress their Colossus. And so we do lose the Zabu bonus, unfortunately. They had a second Shocker from the Cloning Vats. That makes sense. We make them lose their last Wasp, but we do lose this one and the ability to really play those extra cards here. Well, the real Mysterio is here, so we're already winning this lane. I mean, it's not great. But maybe. This could be a 4-cost Evolved Hulk, which would be awful. Would be the not the worst thing, but it would not be great either. All right, I don't know. We're just going to send it. We're going to hope that they... Okay, the Evolved Hulk in the right lane is unfortunate, but it is beatable. We play the Hawk, we play the Stature. The Korg is going to bump our Hawk just a little bit higher, so we are able to hold it down against the High Evolutionary deck, just barely. The real Mysterio being in the... I think maybe this is just like crazy. I play too much Marvel Snap Talk, but I think the Mysterio is what made that play where they wanted that play to be, because otherwise this was a tie. They would have easily been able to throw like a Misty Knight there, but they didn't know if Misty Knight was going to be enough value in the hub location to swing it back in their favor. And so I think Mysterio is what won that for us. Maybe not, but I like to think. We will take the 2 cubes. Always feels great to beat High Evolutionary. That deck is all over the place. It is a very consistent, very heavy hitter. Anytime you can steal a win away, it feels fantastic. We will take the 2 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Breakbone, and the first location is Bar Sinister. I really want to somehow be able to play our Korg there. Doing something like Jeff into the Bar Sinister location is so fantastic, because then you have the agency to control exactly how many cards are going to pop up in Bar Sinister, where you navigate and move your power to, and just overall, you get quite a bit of benefit from it. We do get Zabu. I'm going to go ahead and play that. We don't have any of our other great cards, so we're just kind of slowly playing this, and we're hoping that eventually we draw into Loot Cage, honestly. If we draw into Loot Cage, we can offset this Necrotia bonus, this Necrotia deficit or downside. Let's play Polaris into the Eternity range. I think they have to play... Ooh, wait. They could do an Electro? An Electro here would have been wild, right? Because then they could do a Destroyer, a Galactus, and just... They still could, right? The Time Stone... Galactus here? Okay, they can't Galactus anywhere now. But they could have a Killmonger and all kinds of other stuff. That is super scary. They have initiative here as well because of the Soul Stone. Wow. Wow. All right, I'm going to trust in the heart of the cards here. I'm hoping they... I mean, if I am them, I don't play the Time Stone into this lane unless I know that I'm going to have what I need. It's still always great whenever you can shuffle 8 rocks into the opponent's deck. So they do have the Killmonger, unfortunately. It is what it is. We took it... I mean, we assumed that is what it was going to be, but it's still unfortunate. So they are going to get a lot of rocks shuffled in. If we can get our Hawk, then we can just win one of these 2 lanes without even having to worry about it. We'll see. We'll see if we draw into our Hawk. We don't have it just yet. We do get Luke Cage, which is good for us. That is a good upside. Let's do the Black Bolt. And then if they move their vision this turn, we have the discounted smiles. Oh, they don't move their vision, unfortunately. So the Reality Stone changes it into Westview. Okay. I've seen Reality Stone. Reality Stone has stabbed me in the back so many times recently. Okay, so the Black Bolt discards Doctor Doom, which is huge. Such a huge resource to steal away from them. And that alone, that Black Bolt play alone, forced them to have to retreat. Otherwise, they could have at least forced the tie and bar Sinister and then competed and then tried for one of the other lanes. But as is, we were winning 2 out of the 3, and they just couldn't put any more down after the wave. And so sometimes Reality Stone backfires, sometimes it's your own wave play. We will take the 1 cube. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we are playing against the Iron Lad himself. Iron Lad. He's green, and he's also mean. He is the lizard. Elysium is an interesting one because we can do Black Bolt a little bit earlier. We could do Rock Slide earlier, and ooh, Sauron. They're definitely leaning into the mean and the green. And so now I assume they have lizard so that they can really pump towards that. Let's play the Rock Slide into Elysium. We can't do anything into Miniaturize. I mean, we could play Jeff into Miniaturize Lab, but we don't want to let them know that just yet. Okay, so the Typhoid Mary. This is going to be a good game for a Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is going to have value in spades. Now, let's do both our Black Bolt and our Korg. We're going to do both away from the Lechugia. I don't want to clog. I don't want to play for that location just yet. I don't want to shuffle any junk into our deck that we can avoid. Now, as soon as they start playing for that location, we're going to get so much value on our Hawk, and so we're just going to hold it for now. They lose their Ebony Maw, which is massive. Such a huge resource that they just lost. We now have the 1-cost Stature, right now the 3-cost Hawk, and then the 1-cost Jeff. I think what we're going to do, it feels bad, but we're going to play Zabu here. Unless they have wave, next turn we can do, this is 2 for the 1-cost, and then maybe like a Luke Cage as well. We can get a lot of extra reach, and we're going to have initiative going to that last turn. And so we're not going to have a Shang-Chi, but I think that's okay. They do play 1 more card into mid. They play Red Skull. That is a massive resource. Oh, it's kind of scary. We get Polaris, so we can pull one of their cards around. We were going to do Hawk, and then it didn't really matter. We had a lot of resources to lean in on, and I'm sure that they were worried about the potential Hawk play and playing into the Lechugia because of our Hawk, or they drew into a lot of the rocks that we sent them, and they were looking at 2 or 3 rocks in their hand, and just overall, they weren't able to find an optimal play. We will take the 1 cube, and let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Domino again, and they were running the Electro ramp earlier, so I assume that they are running something very similar now, and so I want to save our Jeff. Normally we could play Jeff, we could use it around the board, and I want to save him. That way, if they do drop the Sandman, we can surprise them with 2 cards in 1 turn, rather than the assumed 1. So Nebula does come down. We play our Zabu over there to stop it from growing. We have our Polaris that we can use to pull it 1 more time. I'm going to go ahead and pull it over into Atlantis. We do draw into our Shang-Chi, which is a great resource for us. They could have a Sunspot. They could have, ooh, Electro. Maybe they're not running the deck that I thought they were. If they switched over to Galactus, that backfired really quickly. I don't know what kind of deck they're running, but just in case it is like a Sandman ramp style. Oh yeah, Electro's fine in a Sandman ramp. What am I thinking? And so they could do a Sandman here. They could do a Devil Dino, which does stack up both their big cards. Oh my gosh, that was so brave, my friend. I almost feel bad. We're gonna play Shang-Chi and destroy both of these cards, and then from there we'll kind of find a way to navigate that last turn. If they do drop a Sandman now, it's really low tempo. Plus, we have the Jeff to lean in on as well. I don't know what else they're playing here. Maybe they're playing a Doctor Doom, and then they were gonna... Oh, Magneto. Okay. Magneto does pull our players over. Because they lost so many of their big cards, we still have the lead here. A Doctor Doom doesn't do it now. What other big cards do they have? Doctor Doom, they could have an Arrow. That doesn't do it. I think we get the retreat here. I'm gonna play our Black Bolt just for sauce. And we are gonna play into Atlantis to stop Nebula from throwing. So okay. So we do get the retreat against the Electro ramp. I am so sorry, Domino. I feel like you're just trying to come out here and have good, clean, honest fun, and we're ruining it with the Stature Hawk deck. We will take the 1 cube. Let's go ahead and jump over into, I think, one more. I've recorded more than I normally do, but we've been going on a pretty good streak on a good variety of decks as well. And so I've just wanted to continue going to see how many different decks we can play against and which ones feel strong and which ones feel weak. Let's go ahead and take the 1 cube, jump over into one more. All right. Next up, we have Legacy, and we have a TVA game on our hands. We do not have a TVA game on our hands. I was thinking with Hawk, that's a really good game for us, but it's okay. Honestly, it's okay. So the Bifrost will push cards around. I think we're going to prioritize playing our Jeff. We could do a double Zabu this turn. I don't know that that's the right play. I don't know that that's the right move this early on. Now, the fact that they're stacking their 1-cost cards tell me they're probably running a Killmonger, like a Carnage or something to really destroy and lean in on destroying these. I think we go double Zabu now. We should have done it last turn, then we could have played the Rock Slide. That's my bad. That's my bad. I take full credit for the bad play. They do drop their Killmonger already, so they didn't even waste any time on generating additional cards. Now, the more cards that they destroy, the more likely they could do it like a double death. But our Hawk, especially if we get a double Rock Slide, is going to be so hard to compete against. Now, we are going to play the Rock Slide here. The only bit of solace that we have is that Jeff can maneuver around the board. I'm also going to play our Loot Cage. I think right now I'm confident enough that we could snap. We have the Rock Slide that's going to send 2 to 4 rocks depending on where the second copy goes. We have the Hawk that's going to be anywhere from like 15 to 20 power, I would assume. We have Enchantress if they get anything like really absurd. And we have Jeff to rove the board. So we're looking pretty solid. And Rock Slide does go over into the right. So it is only 2. Ooh, wow, spicy. Spicy Mr. Negative Galactus deck. Very interesting. Or, I mean, Mr. Negative Thanos deck. Probably a Galactus, I would assume. But spicy nonetheless. I wish we had Black Bolt here. I really, really do. How do we want to play this? I think we just play Horg right now. Next turn, we can move a Jeff. We can play Enchantress and like a double Hawk or something like that. Do they have their Galactus? No way. Okay, no, Mind Stone. Whew, I was sweating it. So depending on what they draw here, we should be in a pretty good spot. We do have initiative, so like a Shang-Chi be so detrimental to us. I guess Shang-Chi here would be detrimental, but not so much here. All right, so we're going to maneuver it where the second Hawk is guaranteed to go into nowhere. We're going to drop the Enchantress into the Bifrost. We don't want that to destroy our Hawks. And they have some inverted cards, probably some good inverted cards. I'm hoping that one is not Shang-Chi. If it is, okay, one is Shang-Chi. It's not inverted Shang-Chi. What is this last card? If it's inverted Iron Man, oh, Galactus. Wait, okay. That was a roller coaster, you guys. I got so scared. I'm guessing they drew their Galactus like on the last turn, or else they wouldn't have played their Mind Stone there. Wow, that was scary. I am glad that we positioned our Hawk to make sure that it went over here. We will take the 2 cubes, and that is where we're going to go ahead in the video. That was wild. A Mr. Negative Thanos is something that I've seen around. I've never seen anybody fully crack it where it's incredibly consistent. I think it's another one like we covered yesterday where it's fun and it can win. It can steal some big cube games away, but it may not do so every single game. And so we're going to go ahead and take the 2. We're going to end the video here. Overall, we had about a 64% win rate with the old Stature deck. We just took out one of the lower cost cards and added in Luke Cage. And so it is still incredibly viable, incredibly potent, even after the Black Bolt and Stature nerfs. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.